You're watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. From Toronto, Ontario, I'm Zahid. Welcome to the show. Now, coming up is a conversation with Edward MATWAWANA regarding the National Black Canadian Summit 2022. But first, let's take a look at the headlines. Indigenous peoples embrace Pope's apology with mixed emotions. MP Salma Zahid to draft legislation to bring transparency to CSIS. Trial for accused of killing Afzaal family moved to different city. Israeli army demolishes Palestinian homes in West Bank. And now the details. A wave of emotion swept through the crowds of Indigenous peoples gathered in Maskwacis yesterday during the Pope's historic apology to the Native people of Canada. Some Indigenous peoples wept while others applauded in an intimate ceremony at one of Canada's largest residential schools in central Alberta. The Pope sought forgiveness for the members of the Catholic Church responsible for the horrific events at Indigenous residential schools. A former school survivor said she had waited 5 decades to hear this apology. Later, the Indigenous chiefs thanked Pope Francis for his apology during a press conference. MP Salma Zahid, a Muslim member of parliament, is hosting a consultation session about her proposed legislation to ensure transparency in the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, or CSIS. The event will take place in Scarborough's Grace Place Church this evening. Zahid announced in June a need for a bill demanding Canada's National Spy Agency and government lawyers maintain factual clarity when requesting judicial warrants regarding security investigations. In recent years, CSIS has been criticized for failing to fulfill the duty of candor by not disclosing and supporting facts for its warrants. According to Zahid, enacting the bill will hold government security officials accountable for their dealings. Superior Court Justice Renee Pomerantz has ruled yesterday that there should be a change of venue for the trial of Nathaniel Veltman, charged with last year's murder of a Muslim family in London, Ontario. The evidence for the case and the reason for changing the venue has not been disclosed due to a publication ban. The trial, anticipated to last 12 weeks, will begin next year on September 5th. The new location for the trial has not been determined. The 20-year-old drove over the Afzaal family with his truck during their evening walk last year in June. 4 of them were immediately pronounced dead, and their 9-year-old son was left seriously injured. 5 Palestinians were injured in clashes with the Israeli army that demolished the homes of 2 Palestinian prisoners in the northern occupied West Bank this morning. The Palestinian prisoners Yusuf Asi and Yahya Mareh were accused by Israeli authorities of killing a security guard in the aerial settlement in April. Before the demolition clashes erupted between the Israeli forces and the residents. At least 5 civilians were injured by rubber bullets, and dozens of others suffered suffocation due to tear gas shelling by Israeli forces. Israel usually demolishes the homes of Palestinians suspected to carry out attacks. Human rights organizations condemn the action, calling them collective punishment. That's it for the news. Now with us is Edward MATWAWANA, Program Director of the MICHAΕLLE Foundation. He is joining us today to speak about the National Black Canadian Summit 2022 in Halifax. Welcome to the show, Edward. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Edward, the summit is coming up at the end of July. Can you share with us some details on the programs?
Yes, the summit will be a 3-day affair, and it will start on July 29th and will end on July 31st. And we are having it in Halifax, in Nova Scotia.
Mm-hmm. And what is the purpose of holding these summits every year? I believe it's being held for the 3rd time this year, not including the virtual one. Mm-hmm. Having them every year, what is that purpose?
It's not necessarily every year, but maybe every other year. And this summit was a call from the young people all over Canada, and because of the International Decade for People of African Descent, many young people across the country asked if the foundation could convene Black people from everywhere in Canada in one place. And that was really the genesis of the summit, to respond, to answer the call, but also to observe what has been set in motion by the UN through the International Decade of People of African Descent, and looking at the three pillars, which are recognition, justice, and development for people of African descent.
Mhm. And is there a reason that this year's summit is being held in Halifax in particular?
The first one was, just to go back a little bit, the first one was held in 2017 in Toronto, and the second one in 2019, like 2 years after, in Ottawa. And so for the third edition, I believe many cities, many communities across the country lobbied to try to get the summit in their communities. And at that time, Halifax was kind of the winner. And and also Halifax is what we call the cradle of a Black presence in Canada, and it was only fitting that we have the third summit in Halifax.
Mhm. Now, the program, as you said, is a 3-day program. Can you give us a little more detail on how exactly that breaks up? What will be happening across 3 days?
Well, so it's a 3 day, and thank God that it's happening on the weekend, so people will be free, and it's summertime in Halifax by the ocean, and it will be time of festivities and tourism and so on. Now, so on the Friday, we will start with uh, those delegates who will be there early. They will have the opportunity to the chance to visit some of the landmarks, that related to the Black experience, such as museums and so on, and the cultural centers. So that will be on the Friday morning, while everything else is being radiated. And in the afternoon, right in the afternoon on Friday, we'll start with sessions and roundtables, and just to talk a little bit about some of the sessions. There will be workshops and sessions for youth, youth focused, and but there will also be a roundtable, for instance, on human rights, and there will be a workshop on the anti-Black racism toolkit. So those are the few things we have in reserved for the Friday afternoon. And of course, the opening night is Friday night, where we'll hear remarks from Madame Jean herself and other officials, such as the Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia and the federal officials. On Saturday, of course, after the plenary and some keynotes, we'll have more sessions and roundtables. I think 7 concurrent sessions, and then lunch, more keynotes and other remarks. And after that, we will have 6 other concurrent sessions on various issues that affect the Black community, such as
And what
health,
are some of
business.
those various issues that you are saying affect the Black community?
Good. I was just going to go into that. So we have a list of issues and sessions and so on. Some of them actually we dealt with during the virtual series we had in 2021. So we're looking at business. We're looking at health. We also have education uh, and of course housing and environmental racism. We also have skilled trades, talking about how today's market's affecting the Black community and what needs to be done. We also have time to tell our stories, from historical point of view, but also from artistic point of view. So altogether, we have close to 20 different sessions for the 3 days. And of course, one thing I didn't say earlier was that the third day, we actually we have what we are calling the Halifax Declaration. So, under the International Decade for People of African Descent, many cities have pronounced declaration acknowledging this honor, the decade. So, in Canada, we chose Halifax to do such a thing. So, for good reason, because Halifax is the historic cradle of the Black presence in Nova Scotia. They've been there for over 400 years. And so it will be symbolic and historic to have it in Halifax. So that's why many officials will travel from different parts. Officials from the United Nations will come to Halifax to witness this event. And of course, we'll have some government ministers as well, and provincial and so on. And,
exactly. Quite an impressive lineup that you have summarized for us right there. You said that this summit was initially started for the youth. And now you've given me a rundown of some of the topics that will come up during the 3 days.
Yeah.
How are the topics decided upon for whether it's the roundtables or the panels?
Yeah, the request came from through meeting with the youth and so on. But the summit itself, even though youth are seen everywhere in every aspect of the summits. For instance, there are sessions that are youth focused, but there are also youth on panels, youth moderating, youth performing, youth giving keynotes. So they are threaded through everything that has to do with the summit. So because we also have to look at the MICHAELLE Foundation's mission and mandate. Our mission is to the youth, but we accepted this challenge to organize the summit, which is open to all people, not just the youth and not just Black people. It's everyone. Because we believe that if we're to change things, the situation for Black people, the answer has to come from everyone. We don't pretend that we have all the answers, So, so the
and I love that idea of having a conference meant for everyone, but really emphasizes the youth and uplifts them as well.
Exactly.
Gives them a chance to speak or even participate in those discussions.
And for instance, on Saturday, there's actually after-hour events planned by the youth. It's most artistic, and it's like a showcase featuring the youth, planned by the youth, for the youth, but everyone is invited. So we just had a request from a UN official say, "I want to go to the session, to the event." So it's nice to see that the youth are being included, and even when they plan something at the summit, everyone attends. So that's what we like to do: a synergy between the youth and everyone else.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. Edward, thank you so much for joining us and telling us about the upcoming summit.
Well, thank you very much, and it's good to talk about the summit, especially that the Halifax Declaration I talked about will be on the eve of Emancipation Day.
Okay. Yes. You are watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. That's it from our Toronto studios tonight. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more Canadian Muslim content. Stay safe, and until next time.